And for our last talk of the day, we turn it over to Eric, who's going to share with us the future of Ionpath.
Thank you, Noah, and actually, this thanks for putting on this workshop and asking me to attend and to share some of where we're going in this space. So my name is Eric Abel. I'm the senior product manager. I started almost a year ago. Actually, be a year ago on Thursday, and I came from a different space. I was in radiation oncology before. So when I first started here, the first thing I needed to figure out was, well, what is it that people are trying to do here? Why would people buy a MIBI, and what is the problem that they're trying to solve? And it really came down to talking to a bunch of users, started with Mike and Sean, and so it is their students, and then it's been going around and talking to a lot of the other customers that are probably on this call now, and just sort of figuring out, what is it that we're doing here. I think things started coming to focus, but I think the epiphany I had was one day I was in my office for another reason, and this sort of blended into a group meeting, and they just started going around the table and talking about the results that they have from the MIBI experiments, and they were pontificating about the various arrangements of cells and the expressions that they were having, and what possible questions could this be answering. And at that point, I realized that is what we're after. Really, I mean, we're really we're starting with this tissue sample that, obviously pathologists can get a lot of information out of this, but what we want to get to is something more like this, right? Where we have all of these cells that have been identified, and their spatial locations that are there, and then this leads to all this fun analysis that then can be discussed and really unleashes insights into the underlying biology that are otherwise not really there. And it's the power of this platform that is not really available in any other way. And this ultimately then leads to growing our overall understanding of biology and pathology, and can lead to great publications and so forth. So I do want to start by saying that I'm fortunate to be here at a time shortly after we've received an investment from Thermo Fisher, a strategic investment. So this is important for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is it's great to have money in your company. You need money to get things done, but I think but beyond that, this is really a vote of confidence from a company that's had a lot of experience in this space, and they're definitely a big player. I'm sure you guys have all experienced with Thermo Fisher equipment, but it also means that we can work together with them to really advance the platform and really accelerate the development to get better solutions into your labs, and it'll allow us to scale the organization to support you guys in ways that we could not do up until now. So really excited time to be at Ionpath, and we're growing. We've already increased 40% in the last 2 months, so that's been remarkable. So coming down to it, and this, when I was kind of going back to what is it that we're trying to do here, I come to realize, and these talks here are also representative, is in terms of what I need to do as a product manager is figure out what it is that you guys, what are you starting with? And really, you have this experimental design. It all starts with the experimental design. Everything starts with what is your tissue type, what is your model, what is the panel, and what is the biology you're trying to get after? Because a lot of those decisions early on will shape what happens afterwards, right? And then at the end of it, you also have then, okay, well, what is the analysis I want to do, right? There may be questions that you haven't thought of. We have the question here about hypothesis generating versus hypothesis driving. A lot of these questions kind of need to be thought about ahead of time. I think we have an opportunity to help in that space, but I think the important thing is there needs to be a lot of flexibility at this stage, right? Because everybody's going to come up with their own ideas of what experiment they need and what analysis they need. I would say once, at least at the front stage, once a lot of the decisions have been locked in, am I going with fresh frozen or FFPE? Am I going to go with TMA core or whole tissue? Am I gonna go, once once those decisions have been launched in, I think a lot of it just becomes very routine and parallelized. And I think recognizing where we need the flexibility versus where can we simplify, so that we can streamline and really take a lot of the mundane, repetitive, and sort of non-value added tasks out of this workflow. That's where I see I can really start to earn my keep and bring those solutions to you next. Okay. So and kind of thinking about like the underlying premise here is again, simplicity. You need to look at streamlining the workflow so that you can really focus on the science, not on a lot of these issues. And this workshop is to kind of help make things easier. But at Ionpath, with the as a product developer, we want to actually help to make those solutions easier, so that you guys don't have to continue to come up with your own solutions unless you want to. And then efficiency. I mean, we're hearing about building these cohorts with multiple patients samples, lots of cores, 1,200. We're hearing like 1,200 FOBs. We want to make that easier for you to do and not have to like manually select an FOB for every single core. And then once you get it in there, you lock the motors so it can go. But at the same time, like when you're handling this much data, we do know this. You also want to lose sight of the quality. You want to make sure that we have all the things in place so you can track your experiment properly. We heard about cataloging and of the slides and keeping track of where the cores are. I mean, these are areas where Ionpath can really help, and that's where we want to look at those opportunities. But I think the important thing is that, and I think a lot of you hear a lot of the at least the marketing messaging that you hear are coming across lose sight of the fact that, I mean, there's your experiment is only as quick as the shortest bottleneck. There's the biggest bottleneck, right? So if you're able to image in less than a day, that doesn't help you if your panel takes 6 months to develop, or if your analysis takes 3 months to get through, right? So we need to be looking at this from the time you think of your experiment to the time you're ready to publish. That's the time that matters, and we need to be looking at opportunities along that entire workflow. And I think one of the big bottlenecks that everybody here could agree is probably in terms of is the panel development and getting your panel going with you once you have your panel decided. And so we're looking at opportunities to streamline this. And the easiest thing we can do is to just grow the catalog, just increase the number of antibodies that are available from Ionpath. The advantage there is we quality control them, so when you buy them, all you have to do is hide them, they stay in, and it just works, right? And then, of course, the other thing we can do is we can start to group these antibodies into panels, so you don't have I think we've got around 200 antibodies to choose from at this stage between our catalog and the community antibodies. If you're new to this, it would be nice to have like panels that are based on the biology that you're interested in. So we want to basically make that possible. And then of course, there's no way we can cover every possible experimental question that could come up. So there will be the need for custom conjugation, and we want to simplify that process. So we have some development activities to make that happen. And I did say down here that we do have a list of, a comprehensive list of both, not just what's on our calendar, but community antibodies that are available if you want to contact us for that. And then, of course, once you get past that through the staining and get to the instrument, there's quite a few number of opportunities to improve this. And what's nice about the platform is the commercial platform that you guys all have it's basically scalable for the future. So everything that we're working on is in principle going to be implemented on this platform. And one of the things we want to do is like we're looking at streamlining the workflow, looking at imaging recipes. Like we want to scan a TMA, we should make it easier to image that TMA and not have to go through and select that for example. You'll see some prototypes of some from custom built prototype from tomorrow of basically selecting a region of interest from a serial H&E. Those are the sorts of things that we can streamline and simplify and make your job easier as scientists. And then just basically just improving the navigation on the sample. If you are using ASCII, there's a lot of opportunity there. We've heard about, we're hearing that there's a lot of desire to go for larger and larger cohorts, whether you're in TMA or large tissue. Sometimes to capture biology you want, you just don't want to be limited by, picking out the which FOBs to pick out. I've heard a lot of questions about that. Well, if we can make it so that it's faster to image, then those sorts of questions become less and less important. And then of course, obviously, if you're going to pick a lot of large regions of interest, lots of FOBs, we want to make sure that you can just set it and walk away, and the data will just come and work, right? And obviously, we want to move toward whole slide support, whatever that might mean for you. But of course, again, the quality is important. I think one of the really nice things about MIBI data is you do get a high quality data. It's free from a lot of the artifacts that people who are used to optical techniques are always surprised to see, oh wow, this data looks really great. So we want to make sure that we want to double down on that and keep the best data quality possible. And one of the ways we can do this, we've got a lot of activities going on to just maintain the maximum signal to noise ratio and make sure that stays no matter what we do. But there's a lot of instrument tuning that is happening. There's quite a few subsystems in here, and there's a lot of opportunity through engineering and feedback loops to automate some of the tuning so that you don't have to. And then again, experimental traceability, just making sure that anything that's set that's going to affect your data gets captured in the metadata or in the database somewhere so that you have access to it later on and report on it in your so these are the things that we are keeping sight of. And then finally, once the data comes off the instrument, we've been building out a data analysis pipeline, and it starts with the pre-processing with new and improved algorithms. You guys haven't learned about this yet because that happens tomorrow. We do have some new algorithms, so you start with the cleanest possible images. Then we are developing some internal algorithms that are deep learning based to help with segmentation phenotyping, so that the end result instead of is basically a single cell level like you would expect from a flow experiment, except instead of marker expression per cell, you all have the additional location of the cell center. And the nice thing about the deep learning is it's based on things beyond just marker expression thresholds or intensities. It also takes into account spatial distribution, and that has real significant advantages in terms of seeing through noise, like aggregates or some of that speckle noise that you're seeing. So, just like a pathologist will see through it, these AI algorithms as well. And so then once we have that single cell level, then we can maybe help to provide some tools to then go to biological insights. And this is again where we want to be more flexible and provide the flexibility that you need so you can analyze the data that you want. And where we are now, we do have this pipeline in. So the process that we're going through is developing the algorithms, the core algorithms, and making sure that they work. And we're really working with MIBI customers and who need it to test these algorithms now with real world data from our customers. So we really want to work with you guys to make sure that what we're doing is going to meet your needs and not just created in a vacuum and then unleashed on the world. And then after once we have all this confidence that everything's working well, we will then work to build a user interface again with input from you guys that ensures that we have a user center for all of this. And this is a perfect segue into the MIBI community. You guys are all kind of in the same boat together, and there's a lot of benefit to be had from working together. So we want to remove the barriers and accelerate scientific discovery by having you guys work together. This workshop, I think, is a great start. It's been put on by Stanford. But I think we want to follow suit and kind of keep this going and have more of these sort of collaborative touch points. And then, like I said, we are also partnering with MIBI users to get user-based and laboratory-based solutions that are meaningful and will really lead to better solutions for you guys. And then finally, we want to make sure that we have a platform for sharing the latest knowledge and publications with you guys. And that's where we've recently created a knowledge base, and you can see the link down here. Right now, it's just a portal for various documents, anything that comes from Ionpath that is the latest and greatest. So you'll see the user guides and stuff in there. But I think in the future, we want to use this as a start point to expand into further collaboration, maybe a forum or a code sharing or something like that. But that is, I think, through community, we'll only get to drive to better solutions for everybody. And that is everything. I'll open myself up to questions.
Okay, first question from the chat. Do you plan to support non-human antibodies? For example, like the NHP project that we talked about earlier, is that something that you're planning on incorporating into the core commercial options? Or
yes, yeah. So we already have some mouse antibodies on our catalog, and yes, we have done some conjugation of some non-human primate antibodies. I don't know when those will be, if those will be in the catalog, but for sure, I can share information about it so you can self-conjugate. So. Other questions? Yes.
Can you say a bit more about the segmentation model that you are working on?
Yes.
The question.
Yeah, so the question was, can I say a little bit more about the segmentation model? I can. I'm not the data scientist here. If you really want to know, I'm happy to set up sort of another discussion with the data science team, and they can walk you through the details. But from what I understand is that it is a deep learning model. It's trained to recognize features of cells based on the marker expression and the distribution of the marker expression, and it's the one we have so far has been annotated by pathologists. So a pathologist goes through and says, okay, this is a T cell, or this is a helper T cell, this is whatever, and that sort of thing. And then over like any other machine learning, like Google Photos starts to recognize your face, this thing starts to recognize T cells. That's the level of my understanding of it. But like I said, if you want more details, I'm happy to connect with the data science team.
Thanks.
There's a couple of questions here about basically MIBI sites collaborating together.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have some more concrete details about what that would look like? What stuff Ionpath wants to do? What stuff you want to have still the users do, and how the user community can interact?
But yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think right now it's a clean palette. I don't see any limitations in that regard. What I would like to do, I think first is to have some sort of a user group where direct ideas and research and solutions are shared. It's something that we talk a lot about internally. We don't have any plans yet, but I think probably. I could see if this is going to be an annual thing, I want to sort of offset it maybe 6 months from this, so that we've got some regular cadence of maybe people getting together. But that's all still very TBD. Are there questions in the room or online?
That's it. Awesome. Thanks, Eric.
Great.